love talking to this guy. It's Elijah Wilkinson from the Denver Broncos, big offensive tackle. Eli, thanks for joining the show again, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. Always good to talk to you. We got training camp right around the corner. Just how odd has this offseason been in terms of training away from the facility, no mini camps, no OTAs, and now y'all are starting, these new procedures for training camp?
It's definitely been challenging, having to wear the mask and working out with the mask and all of that. But, it's definitely something that we're going to have to adapt to because, this thing isn't going anywhere. So,
Right.
It's definitely something new. It's definitely not going to be comfortable, but it's something that we're going to have to adapt and overcome.
So, Elijah, you have a huge opportunity facing you in this particular training camp opposed to those of the past. You now have an opportunity to kind of throw away the idea of just kind of being a swing guy and focus on one position. There is going to be a battle for that left tackle position. How are you mentally preparing yourself as training camp is around the corner?
Making sure I'm sharp on my plays, even though we haven't really been, really in the classroom at all. The Zoom meetings were helpful, but it's a little different this year. You kind of, have that self-discipline and be able to really hone in on the details on your own and be able to adjust to the playbook on your own, really. So that's been something kind of new, but, it's all, it's football, man. So I'm just ready to get back to it and to have a good competition, in camp.
Elijah Wilkinson joining us here on The Fan. It's Nick and Cecil. And Eli, I was just going to go there. Like, how much are you chomping at the bit just to get back to kind of normal with football, just to get back out there with your teammates?
I mean, I definitely, get, like you say, chomping at the bit, to get back to just be in the building, just have that feeling of, being around the guys, is really what we've been missing all off season. But, just to be able to get a good, solid walkthrough, like, to be able to go through the plays, hear Drew Lock, say the play in the huddle, just all that stuff that we're missing that we haven't really had. That's what I'm really hoping, to get back to.
Now, before camp every single year, I would normally take a trip somewhere to kind of get my mind, ready for what the long, arduous NFL season is going to be. It's a little different now with everything that's going on. What are you doing to prepare yourself as you go into, training camp? Just try to ease your mind from, the things that you're going to have to deal with.
Just kind of work on my own mind, work on myself, especially staying in the weight room. It's been tough with COVID restrictions and all that, but, some places are open back up a little bit now with masks, of course. But, that's fine with me as long as I got a space to work. I'm a wear a mask or not. It doesn't matter to me. So either we're outside or we're inside, as long as I got some weights and a trainer that's pushing me and, my playbook in my hands, that's all I've really been doing to try and keep myself focused. But it's definitely going to be a challenge, coming back. Everything's going to hit us all at once. We got a whole new team. There's no preseason games is what I'm hearing. So I don't know, how that's really going to go with us, finding out what kind of team that we really are without going against a different defense. You know what I mean?
Right. Eli Wilkinson joined us here on The Fan. We talked about this, Eli. We talked about the experience you guys have on the coaching staff, and just Mike Munchak specifically. What a godsend, Hall of Famer, guy that got it done at the highest level when he played. Having his experience, do you think that guy that will give you guys kind of an advantage in this weird situation because he has so much experience? He knows how to get the most out of you guys in these, limited and new practices and walkthroughs and all that.
It's crazy because he always tells us about back in his day when they had a lockout themselves and they had an eight-game season and how crazy and different that it was then and how they couldn't work with people and, they were really limited on things that they can do. But, I think that it's really going to help us with, just him having the knowledge of the game and, being able to coach us through every step of the way, especially with, the new guidelines and rules and things of that nature to kind of catch up to speed with the plays and make sure that everybody's sharp and on tap.
Being a leader is so important in today's game. And I've had an opportunity to talk to some other guys who've played on some championship teams, and they echo that same type of idea. For you, being that you were a swing tackle for so many years, and now you're looking to just be solidified at one particular position, what does that mean for you from a leadership standpoint that you can bring not just to the offensive line, but just to the team overall?
I think that it means that I can bring a little bit more confidence, a little bit more. I don't like to say, but swagger. Just a little bit. And have
It's okay.
that kind of, and just have it. Kind of have it. Be confident in myself. I'm not moving around. Here left tackle, right tackle, guard, or whatever. I'm locked in at one position. That's what they believe in me at, and that's where they want me. So I could really focus in on that. And I think that's kind of one thing that could really take me to be a leader and really help me out, with kind of being more vocal and, having more of a voice now, it being my fourth year and everything.
Yeah, and Eli, I want to say this with all due respect, but I've always seen you as a left tackle. I mean, you're able to play swing tackle and able to play guard because you can, but you've always been that. So did you just have a feeling like, well, finally, because you can do all those other things. That's how talented you are. You can play left, you can play right, you can play inside. Do you feel like finally I get to show that one true spot, that left tackle spot?
Yeah, I think that once you really get comfortable and your set is good and your stance is real balanced and everything is feeling good in that position, is when you excel. And I think not that I haven't excelled in the previous years, but it's been a lot. Jumbling around from here to there and everywhere. Kind of had my mind at a lot of places, and it was a lot to handle as a young dude, but it's okay. And now they believe in me at that one spot, so I'm gonna give it the best I got at that one spot.
Well, and I gotta add double and piggyback on that, Nick. I hate to interrupt you here, but I have to ask you, Eli Wilkinson, join us here on the Fan. When you look at this, how difficult is it as a young player not to just be comfortable with being in the league? Because a lot of guys I could see, and maybe it's just me, I didn't play in the league, but maybe it's just me, where you're undrafted, you come in the league, you're just happy to be there. And then you're a swing guy and you're playing all over because you can, and you're just happy to be there. It seems like you have that mindset of like, you know what, I am happy to be here, but I want to be that guy. Is that a mindset that you've had? Is that something maybe other undrafted guys, I've talked to Nick about this before, he was undrafted in the league. Like, is that just something where you can't rest on your laurels and just be like, hey, I'm undrafted, I made it? No, it's about getting your dream.
I think that's something that the kind of mindset that I have. I mean, it's always something. I mean, I've always been out there. So, when I came to the NFL and, I wasn't on the depth chart at first when we were starting camp and all of that. And I'm like, whoa, this is different. You go through a whole practice and you don't get a rep. That's different, than from what I'm used to. So I think that, with all that's gone on, from practice squad to here to being starting in the league, I think that, it's really brought my confidence up, number one. But number two, made me have that sense of belief in myself that, I'm actually here. I could do this. I've started, 14, 15 games this season. Like, I can be that guy for any NFL team, if not, not only the Broncos, but any, So I think that raised, my awareness that, I have the skill set, I have the tools, I can do this. And, kind of being undrafted, you kind of don't believe in yourself. Not that you don't believe in yourself, but the odds are stacked against you.
Right.
So, you have to really, keep your head down, work, not really say much, and just kind of do your thing,
Elijah, I had your former, well, not your former teammate, your current teammate, Shelby Harris, on the program last week, and I asked him a question. I said, well, normally coaches, to kind of break up training camp, they usually make it really competitive with offensive, defensive guys. And I said, well, if Coach Fangio said, well, pick out any offensive lineman you want to win or that you think you could win in the race, and the loser, that group will have to run. I said, well, which guy would you choose? He said, man, I would choose any offensive lineman because I would dust them all. What do you have to say to that? Shelby Harris calling out the whole offensive line, say that he would dust them all in a 30-yard race.
Man, I know for a fact that I would beat Shelby. I told you that on the virtual ring.
Yeah.
With Keith Kozar there. But I know for a fact that I'm winning. I know for a fact that Garrett Bowles has dusted him, and I know for a fact that I'm trying to think. I'm like, there's a couple other dudes that are pretty quick that I know for a fact will dust him. He got bad ankles, man. You don't know. I don't know. I don't know how quick. I don't know how fast his acceleration is, but I don't have too much faith in it.
Well, Shelby said his 10 and his 20 is fire. He gets out the blocks.
Come on, it's not about that. It's about when you get past that to that
30. Get to the 10 and 20, and he's fine. And then after that, we shall see Elijah Wilkinson joining us here, offensive tackle for your Denver Broncos. And, Eli, certainly appreciate your time. About an hour ago, we talked to Shaq Barrett, of course, former Denver Bronco, your former teammate now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and led the league in sacks last year. And he was undrafted. You know, the Broncos have this rich history of finding really talented players from the undrafted, from the college free agent ranks after the draft. And he said that this year it's going to be really difficult for those UDFAs to make an impact because the roster limitations and no preseason games. Is that something I know you're preparing for your own battle, but have you thought about, okay, now your undrafted teammates, some of those guys might not even make it into camp because teams are cutting the roster now to 80 instead of 90.
Yeah, that's something that I thought about with, the whole OTAs and all that, us doing Zoom meetings and everything and not being able to be in person because that's really where, I got to showcase, some of my talents when I was a rookie coming out because, maybe a vet wasn't there for whatever reason or, and you got to get those second team reps or you got your maybe first team reps if you're lucky, So that was a point where I got a lot of my work and a lot of these dudes that are coming out are not able to get any of that. And I feel terrible because there's a lot of good dudes out there that aren't going to get their shot just because, it's smaller numbers or they're cutting down rosters and all of that. So I think that that's a huge impact on not only the team's depth, but, somebody's opportunity to be able to make it into the NFL.
Elijah, how does the addition of Albert Okwuegbunam, KJ Hamler, and Jerry Jeudy possibly change what the team's projections could be in 2020 opposed to what they were in 2019?
Man, we're going to be lighting people up. That's all I'm telling you. We're going to be lighting people up. That's a matchup nightmare. Like Jerry Jeudy, Hamler, Sutton, Fant, what's the other tight end from Mizzou? The other dude,
yeah.
Man, that's a matchup nightmare, and that's going to make people, they ain't going to sleep before the game because they ain't going to know what to do. So, I'm just excited. I'm ready to get back, with everybody, like I had said before, and kind of get on the same pace, man. Everybody, we start to run the plays together, start to get in unison. And if we got 11 guys working all on the same page, it's going to be a scary sight. I'm trying to tell y'all.